All right, we are back. Episode 19, Franchise Mode Calgary Flames, as we are in the month of February of 2019. We are at the NHL trade deadline. Welcome to episode 19 of our Franchise Mode here with the Calgary Flames. As you can see, it's been a little bit since the last episode. Episode 18 was released. I apologize for that. It has been a busy week, so I'm going to try and get back to pumping out these episodes more on a consistent basis. So it's been about a week since this last episode was released, episode 18, as mentioned. In that episode, we did the month of February, and what a turnaround of events it was for the Calgary Flames. Obviously, if you were following along with this franchise mode, especially in this 2018-19 season, you'll know that we had a really hot start and then dropped off consistently month by month. November, December, and January just got extremely worse as the months went on. But then we hit February here, and it started off with a loss to our division rival, the San Jose Sharks, but then we finished off the month on pretty good fashion. It included a lot of divisional games, as you can see. That was the first one there against the Sharks. We also had one here against the Canucks, the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Edmonton Oilers, and we finished off with games against the Coyotes and the Anaheim Ducks down here. So we actually finished off with 4 straight divisional games. The big reason why we did so good in this month of February is we went 3-1-1 against divisional opponents. And obviously the two biggest ones were the two teams that are chasing us. We got a regulation win against Vegas and a regulation win against Edmonton. And then obviously, as mentioned, went 3-1-1 against our division in that month. But because of those regulation wins and because we did that in our division, take a look at our divisional standings. We were at one point, I think it was in January, I can't remember exactly because it's been a while, but we were we were a little further away from Vancouver, and we were close to where Edmonton and Vegas sits. Now we sit 10 points up on Edmonton for second place, and we're just 1 point back of Vancouver. So that month included a win against the Canucks as well, the team that we are chasing, and that was another regulation win there, 7-3 here you can see against the Canucks. So really, this Vancouver game, this Vegas game, and this Edmonton game, you couldn't have had 3 bigger games in the entire probably month of February, and we not only did we take advantage and win all 3 of those games, but we did not give up a single point. The only points we did give up was to the Arizona Coyotes, who are way down there in the standings. We gave them 2 points, and we gave the San Jose Sharks 2 points. We did pick up a point against the Coyotes, but as you can see in our divisional standings, both the Coyotes and the Sharks are pretty much further down there. Coyotes 60 points there, Sharks 59. So we're not really too concerned about giving them points at this point. The biggest ones were Vancouver, Edmonton, and Vegas. So, as mentioned, welcome to episode 19. That was just a quick look at episode 18. As mentioned, it's been a little bit since I've done these franchise modes, so just trying to refresh myself here with everything. Taking a look there at that month of February. As mentioned, we started off 9-2-2, then went 8-6-1 in November, 6-3-4 in December, 3-5-2 in January, and then this past month we went 6-2-2. So a pretty successful month, if you ask me. We did play less games in this month, but still to go 6-2-2, we're starting to turn things around. So we are expected to be cup contenders as early as this season. We've built our teams as so. Obviously, this past summer, we brought in John Tavares. We brought back James Neal. We're bringing in all the veterans, and we're trying to go for it. In this past month, also, we made the switch here with Tavares and Monahan. We flipped our 2 number 1 and 2 centermans. Obviously, they're both number 1 centermans in this league, so we just flipped them, and that seemed to ignite this entire top 6. Gaudreau, Tavares, and Bennett have been stellar as a line. Tkachuk, Monahan, and Neal has picked up his game. That's pretty good, because Neal was having a pretty poor season. We brought him back for $6 million a season, and he was having a pretty poor season, but he's picked it up playing alongside Sean Monahan and Matthew Tkachuk. So this top 6 has just been rolling. Our bottom 6 still has been a bit of a concern. There we lack a little bit of depth, and then our defense has been pretty solid. Obviously, we have a decent top 4. I mean, obviously, we'd like a little bit of an upgrade over Travis Hammock, but you're just not going to find that at this time of year. This third pairing has really been solid for us all season long. They're really not being recognized for how well they're playing, especially in the plus minuses. Plus 20 there from Joel Morrell and a plus 8 for Rasmus Anderson. So two young defensemen that are really playing well for us. Our goaltending has been our weakest link of the season. Mike Smith has been very inconsistent. This season, he has played obviously the majority of the games. He's almost at the 60-game plateau. You can see his numbers there, 926 through 31 wins, but he just hasn't been consistent. He is dropping off at age 36, and John Gillies has come through 8 games, excuse me, and just really has not performed well for us. 5 wins, but 891 save percentage. He has just not. We just haven't been confident putting this guy in the net. So. As we mentioned at the end of the last video, we want to upgrade our goaltending now at trade deadline. That is what we have the ability to do, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but we definitely want to upgrade our goaltending here, so I'll get to that in a second. When we get to defense, we took a look at it. We think we're fine with the defensive core we've got for now. I mean, if it's really a concern, we can address it into the off-season. But we're making tweaks for the playoffs this season, so the only move we want to make on our starting lineup is on our forward group. We would like to add depth maybe here on the left side, and we have a couple options that we can do there. So adding depth down here obviously is what we need, probably on the left side there now that we got Bennett playing top line right wing minutes with Tavares and Gaudreau. Bennett did start our season on the left wing here on the third line, but he's moved up. He's bumped Frolik down. Frolik is now on the third line, and we just need to add some depth down here. Jankowski has not grown to what we had hoped he would so far this season. He's not having a very good season, but hopefully he can take the next step this offseason. So we still have faith in Mark Jankowski, and that is going to be key. So before we get to what we're going to do here at trade deadline, just wanted to take a look here at the rest of the league. So we took a look at the trading block just before we started episode 18, the month of February, and in that span of February, a lot of trades actually went down. There's actually some names, including defenseman Ryan McDonough out of the Rangers, who was taken off the trading block. So you'll remember in 18, we took a look at him just briefly, the possibility of bringing him in on our second pairing with TJ Brody. Obviously, that would mean shipping out Travis Hamonic. He was on the Rangers trading block, excuse me. He is no longer on their trading block. So some teams have taken players off. Some teams have added new players on their trading block. But let's take a look at the trades that already went down here. And there's some pretty big ones. We start there at the bottom with the Vegas Golden Knights. They trade away Camilleri and Pulkkinen. They pick up a third and a defenseman. The Tampa Bay Lightning, though, with the biggest blockbuster trade with the Anaheim Ducks. Can't believe this, and this is going to affect us, and I'm going to tell you about that here in a second. But the Tampa Bay Lightning acquired John Gibson, Brandon Montour, and Sean Matthias from the Anaheim Ducks in exchange for top prospect Callan Foote and a first-round pick from Tampa Bay. So the Ducks, you'll see a theme here with the Ducks. I think we saw it already in the last couple videos. They're dead last in our division. They are in full rebuild mode. Anaheim has traded away quite a few of their players, and now they are just completely ripping up their core. And it includes a very young, talented #1 goalie in this league. This one does not make sense for me, because even if you're a team that's going to be looking to rebuild for the future, John Gibson was your answer in net. You're not going to find John Gibson anytime soon, and the Ducks have went and traded him away to the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I'll get to that in a second here, but that's a pretty big trade. Some other trades that went down, as you can see, Marcus Johansson to the Jackets for a first-round pick. So the Devils, are selling. The Senators are selling a little bit. They trade away Bassard and Hayes and Cody Franson. They get a 4th-round pick and Jacob Zabor, also another prospect back from Boston. So the Senators are selling. They also trade away Jared Cowan and a 5th and get Michael Raffle and a 5th. So that one really doesn't make much. It isn't that big of a trade, but that first one there, trading away Brassard, Hayes, and Franson. And again, that's going to affect us here in a second. I'll show you why in a second. So the Senators and the Ducks are selling, but some pretty big ones already going down, and that's before we have even hit trade deadline. We're still, 2 days away from the NHL trade deadline. So expect a flurry of moves to be done here in the next bit. So that's our trading block. I wanted to browse the trading block here just quickly. So as mentioned, we are looking to upgrade our goaltending, and we are going to upgrade our depth forward positions. I've decided on that, so that's what we are going to do. We took a look at this in our last video. Jakob Silfverberg is on the block. He's a very interesting name for us. A top 6 forward. He is a right shot natural right winger. 83 overall, listed as a second line forward. Does only have 1 year left at 3.7, so not much of a risk there. -5, 18 goals, 13 assists. So this would be a very good pickup for us in terms of our depth forward option. The only other guy that I think would be a good option or a good fit for us is possibly Rick Nash. He is a left winger. He could come on our left side. He's just one worse than Silfverberg at 82. Also listed as a second line forward. You can see he's 34, but he also only has 1 year left at 3.8, so very similar contracts. He also scored 18 goals and has 18 assists. -14 is a bit of a concern, but again, he's playing on a pretty weak team there in Detroit, and same with Silfverberg in Anaheim. So I think those are the two players we're looking at. I went through all the other players on the block when it came to forwards, and even in the NHL of what players teams are giving away, and those are the two that stand out to me. So I think we're going to make a trade for either Jakob Silfverberg or Rick Nash. I don't want to give away too much to get these guys. Because I want to, we should just get into it. We'll look at our goaltending. So, we should do that first. Yeah, okay, we'll do that first. So what I did is I went through every single NHL team, and I went through every single goalie in this league, and looked at the ones that players want to give up, or the teams, excuse me, want to give up, and the ones that teams don't want to give up. Surprise, surprise, there's not a lot of goalies that teams want to give up. The only one that really stands out here is at the Vegas Golden Knights, and that is Marc-Andre Fleury. They are shopping him. You can see he's 85 overall, does have a bit of or 5.75, excuse me, remaining there. 85 overall, but does have a bit of a value to his trade stock. I mean, the only plus is that the Vegas Golden Knights do want to get rid of him, but I don't know. It's kind of a hefty value there. That was the only one that stood out to me. There are a couple other veteran goaltenders in this league that possibly could be targets, and they're not. Teams don't want to give them up. Don't get me wrong, but we could make a trade to make it work. The first one doesn't make too much sense, but it is Roberto Luongo. You can see his value is just a little bit less than Marc-Andre Fleury's, but he's an 88, so he's about 3 better in the overall section than Marc-Andre Fleury, and he does have less value. This would be perfect, except he's got 4 years remaining at almost $5 million, and he is 39 years of age. So that one doesn't really make too much sense for that reason. It would make a lot of sense for just 1 year if you had just 1 year left, and it makes sense just for this season at 88, but you could probably expect he would, significantly drop off. Don't forget, we talked about it in episode 18. Tyler Parsons is a 75 overall at, I believe, 21 years of age. We don't believe he's going to be NHL ready as early as next season. Obviously, we can't rely on Mike Smith next season. This is the final year of his contract, and he's just not having a good year for us. So we're going to move on from Mike Smith after this season. John Gillies was supposed to jump up and take the reins from Smith until Parsons was ready, and is just really disappointed. Looks like we will be moving on from John Gillies as well. So we need a goalie that can help us now, but can also help us in the next couple of years as well. So Luongo doesn't make too much sense. It's nice to see he's an 88. Nice to see the trade value nice and low, but that contract and that age isn't going to help us at all. When we get down here, there's Pekka Rinne, but his value is pretty high. 87. That's kind of high. That's similar to Marc-Andre Fleury's. 36 years of age. He's also making $7 million a season, so I don't really want to get tangled with that. We got Henrik Lundqvist, the King, as well. About similar trade value, also an 88, a few years younger than Luongo, so this one would make sense, but it's that contract. 3 years at 8.5, that's a lot to pay for a goalie. We could make it work, but, try and stay away from that if we don't have to. The Senators, this is the one that makes the most sense if we have to go this route, and it is Craig Anderson, you can see his trade value is lower than everybody else's, just slightly, 87. So he's still up there around that 88 mark that Luongo and Lundqvist is. Better than Marc-Andre Fleury by 2. 37 years of age, yes, but only has that 1 year left on his contract, or excuse me, 3 years left, but it is at 3.8, so almost 4 mil. That's not bad, whereas Marc-Andre Fleury almost making 5 mil, and some of the other goaltenders are up there as well. 3 years left isn't bad. At 37 years of age, this guy would be done by the time he's 40, and obviously he'll decrease, but to be at 87 this year, if he can still be around that next year, that wouldn't be bad. Maybe as a short-term answer for us. We probably could get rid of him if we really had to. He doesn't have too big of a contract. 914 through 47 games, just 87. That's pretty good, and that trade value is nice and low. Obviously, the Senators don't want to get rid of him, but as mentioned in our trading block screen, Ottawa is a team that is selling, so it would make a lot of sense realistically for the Senators. They've already started to sell a few players from their team, so they might just get rid of their number one goalie as well, who is veteran looking to win a Stanley Cup, 37 years of age. This would be Anderson's last run and last crack at it. So that makes some sense for us and for the Senators. But the biggest one, and this is a long shot, this would be a beyond a blockbuster, but you'll remember that we showed Anaheim completely blowing up their team, and that involved a massive blockbuster trade to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They sent John Gibson to the Tampa Bay Lightning. So take a look at this. There's John Gibson, 90 overall, medium elite. He's only 25 years of age. I can't believe the Ducks would get rid of this guy. 2.3 mil a season. Obviously, he's going to get a hefty contract after this year. But, I mean, 90 overall. Why would you do that, Anaheim? Anyways, the reason is we're not going after Gibson. But take a look at who's under him. Andrei Vasilevskiy. He is also medium elite. He is also 24. Gibson, 25, 24. They don't need two of these guys. Any team in this league doesn't need... Both of them are number one goalies in this league. Both of them are going to be superstar goalies in another 3 to 4 years from now. They're so young. They got so much potential. But if the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to be all in John Gibson, and which obviously they are because they made that trade for him, do they really need Andrei Vasilevskiy? And Vasilevskiy is 85, so he is 5 less than John Gibson, but he still has lots of room to grow. And obviously Gibson, I mean, if you can get a 90 overall goalie at 25, that's amazing. But to get an 85 overall goalie at 24, I mean, that's pretty good. If this guy could take the next jump this offseason, he could be 86, 87 going into next season, and then 88, 89 by the following season, and he'll only be around 26. I mean, he'll probably reach his plateau around 27, and he could be around the 90 mark just like Gibson. So, I mean, that wouldn't be too bad. I mean, this would be a goalie for us now and a goalie for us in the future. And it makes a lot of sense, as mentioned. There's no reason that the Tampa Bay Lightning, both in real life and in this game, need two number one goalies at that age. And you can see Vasilevskiy, he does have a bit of trade value, but it's a hell of a lot less than John Gibson's. So, you know, obviously it's a little bit more than Marc-Andre Fleury's and Lundqvist and Luongo and all that, but that's not bad. I mean, he's only 24 years of age. He's making 3.5 mil for, what, another 2 years? And he's 85 at 24. Like, this just makes this would be a blockbuster trade if we can make this happen. It would be amazing, but I don't know if we can make it happen, but we're going to try. And I think we're going to try for Vasilevskiy because... I said in the last video, I don't want to go full out and acquire the superstar young goalie right now when we can do it in the off season. But I'm just afraid Vasilevskiy, his value will go up that much between now and the off season, and I don't know if I want to risk that. You know, we could go with Mike Smith and say like a Craig Anderson until this off season. But what happens if Vasilevskiy does jump in terms of overall, and his rating goes up, and so does his trade value as well. So, you know, he's got a pretty low trade value for the type of player that he is right now. So I kind of want to take a crack at him right now if we can make it happen. Obviously, it's going to be a massive trade if we can pull this one off. But this would be huge. And then that would also allow us to play him and Smith for the remainder of the season, see who's better going forward this season. Likely it will be Vasilevskiy, but and then we could easily move on from Mike Smith after this season and just go with Vasilevskiy going forward. So it makes a lot of sense to to try and get him now, we're thinking more of the future than we are thinking of, because team chemistry-wise, would you really completely revamp your entire goaltending at trade deadline just to make a playoff run? Realistically, in real life, that doesn't happen often. So for a team chemistry standpoint, this is kind of a bad time to do it. But we're thinking of the future, and I'm just afraid Vasilevsky's trade value will go up. This is really the only young, up-and-coming goaltender that we can get in the NHL that's not an old veteran goalie. That I went through. Like I said, I went through all the goalies. This is the only one that has somewhat of a low trade value, I guess, and is a young up-and-coming goalie. Other than that, we have to really wait for Tyler Parsons, and we just can't do that. Or else we would have to go and get like an old Luongo-type goalie. So, enough of me talking about it. I thought about it a lot. I think we are going to do it. We're going to try and crack a trade for Andrei Vasilevsky. This would be a blockbuster. We can pull it off. I don't know if we're going to be able to, but we're going to definitely take a crack. Now, if we do not get Vasilevsky here, we can go back and try and get somebody like Anderson as well. But it'll suck, and then we can always come back to Vasilevsky, in the off season. But like I said, I'm just afraid his trade value will go up significantly between now and the off season. But let's take a shot at him now. We're obviously extremely interested in this guy. If we can bring him in now, the sooner the better. We need help anyways this remainder of this offseason, so let's see if we can make something work. So now I would have been inclined in giving up Tyler Parsons. I thought about it, and I didn't want to touch Tyler Parsons at all, but I thought, hey, if we're getting Andrei Vasilevsky, he comes in, he's at the right age category with the rest of our core. Parsons is 21 years of age, so he's still another 3-4 years away before he's even NHL ready in terms of goalies. It would make a lot of sense, and just take a look at Parsons' trade value. If we could have traded Parsons for Vasilevsky straight up, that would have worked. In fact, we would have been able to probably get something back. Only problem is they don't want to give up Vasilevsky, and they don't want Tyler Parsons. So no way this trade is even going to go through. They're just not interested in either piece on either side. So that's too bad, because there are teams that are interested in Parsons. Obviously, the Tampa Bay Lightning that have John Gibson are not interested in another young up-and-coming goaltender. So that sucks. That would have been an easy trade right there. Parsons for Vasilevsky. It would have been a good swap. They're not even interested in any of our goalies, so we're gonna have to go to skaters here and see what we can make work here. And this is hard, because we do not, like, we're trying to contend for a cup, so we can't really give up any of these top pieces. I thought about Travis Hamonic, but we can't give him up. We need him on our defensive core, at least for this season, until we can replace him in the offseason. We can't trade away him now and then bring in Ryan McDonagh. One, because the Rangers don't want to trade away McDonagh anymore. Two, his trade value was pretty high, and we don't have a piece to bring in McDonagh. So, I mean, we just can't go full out here. I thought about maybe Michael Frolik, but that would really hurt our depth. So I'm going to see if we can try and make this work without putting Frolik in there. There is some players down here that they're possibly interested in. Obviously, these would just be add-ons though, so let's go to draft picks. I think the only way this is going to work is if we trade away our first overall pick this year. Again, they're not interested in it, but let's see if we can spice it up with some other stuff here. We can throw in a fourth. Now, if we traded away our first and our fourth, we would only have, 4 picks in this up-and-coming draft. That would really, really suck. But again, you would be getting Andrei Vasilevsky. So, I hate to have, to trade away so many draft picks, especially when we're so weak in that specific year, which is 2019. But, it would be for Andrei Vasilevsky. So let's try putting in a first and a fourth. Obviously, that would just completely skew our draft picks for this up-and-coming year, but we'll see if we can make it work. And then let's just try and throw in a bunch of pieces that they want, that they're interested in. So, again, I don't want to touch Jankowski right now, Mangiapane. I could put in Versteeg, but let's try putting in Curtis Lazar. They're interested in him. You can see we're starting to make this a little closer. Is there somebody else we can throw in here? Hunter Shinkaruk. Like we did Shinkaruk, Lazar, a fourth, and a first. We're still pretty far off. So that is a problem. We can try it. They're going to say no. Oops. So let's just go propose trade. Obviously, trade rejected. Yeah, so they don't want more than, they don't want Lazar and Shinkaruk anyway. We can try it with just Lazar. The value is not what you're asking, just for, yeah, okay. Doesn't meet your block particularly well. Like, I mean, the only other thing is to throw in Michael Frolik or Travis Hamonic, and I don't want to put in Hamonic. We could put Frolik in here. That would really hurt our depth. We are going to bring in either Silverberg or Nash, or at least we're hoping to. I mean, you kind of would be replacing them, but that would still hurt our depth. But I mean, we could try and make it work. So let's do that. Let's try putting Michael Frolik into a trade here. He is, like I said, our top 6 is now consisting of James Neal and Sam Bennett on the right side. Michael Frolik is now an 82. He has declined significantly. You know, ever since we lost Michael Backlund, you know, who was his running mate, his partner that made Frolik that much better. You know, his role on the team has just dropped off. He is still listed as a second line forward, but we could move on from Michael Frolik. He also carries a cap of 4.3. That would be huge if we could free up some cap space. You can see with Frolik and a first, that's already making it a lot closer. So let's just try that. Again, this is not going to work. We're going to have to spice it up. The value isn't, yeah, okay. So we're going to have to obviously spice it up, as mentioned. Can we try putting in players without that 4th? So let's go here. Curtis Lazar. They wanted Lazar. Let's try Lazar Frolik. That's getting a little closer. And a first, still not where it needs to be. So I think we're pretty far off here. I'm going to try putting that 4th in. Philly's 4th, and see if that will maybe make it go through. So we'll try a first for Frolik, Lazar, and a 4th for Andrei Vasilevskiy. And it's still not sufficient at what they are wanting. So this sucks, because I really wanted to take a shot here at Andrei Vasilevskiy. You know, I really don't want to offer too much more than that. All I can do at this point is... Let's see here. Are they interested in future draft picks? Not really. They just want this year, so... that doesn't help us at all. Oh, so it's not fun. Just trying to think here. They didn't want Shinkarik. I'm not giving away Morrill. Fu. We just claimed Slater Cuckoo. I could try throwing him in there. See if that spices it up at all. And no, it's not going to work. So I don't think it's going to work for Andrei Vasilevskiy. We have tried a first and a pretty good roster player, plus a depth pick and some depth players, and it's just not going to work. If they were interested in this first round pick, I think it would have went through. Even though they're not interested in getting rid of Vasilevskiy at this point. But they're just not interested in our first overall pick, so that's where we are in some trouble here. So that sucks. We can come back to Andrei Vasilevskiy in the offseason. I think his value is going to go up. It would have been cool if we could have made it work this season, but we are not going to quit on Andrei Vasilevskiy. They're fully committed to John Gibson, so we will go forward like that. I could have tried Travis Hamonic, but I don't want to do that. You know, I think that would really hurt our defense for this season. You can see Hamonic there, Frolik was there, so, I mean, obviously I would do one or the other. Hamonic does have a slight higher trade value than Frolik. Oh, I really don't want to do this. Jeez. I can try Hamonic. I don't think they're going to take him. Where's Vasilevskiy? There's Vasilevskiy. Whew. That would hurt our defensive, and it would be such a risky move, because I'm afraid that it would just completely hurt our defense. I mean, Hamonic is only an 83, but I mean, it would be hard to replace Travis Hamonic before the trade deadline. So Hamonic and a first obviously wouldn't get it done. Again, I can try throwing in that 4th. They're interested in Hamonic and the 4th. Can try it. We can try it. We could live what you're sending us, but it's not enough. So, jeez. I mean, I could try a depth play. I don't care about these depth players, these depth skaters down here. Excuse me. We can easily afford to get rid of one of these guys way down here, especially these guys that are, like, look, Emil Poirier, who's playing in our AHL. Doesn't matter, but Curtis Lazar might have slight higher trade value than an Emil Poirier. We can try that. That looks pretty even to me, to be honest. Hamnick a first, a fourth, and Lazar. That looks pretty even to me. I mean, come on. That's as good as we can get it. We'll try it. No, it's not going to work. So, I'll try one last move, and that's why putting in another depth player. And we'll try Slater Cuckoo again, or, yeah, Slater Cuckoo, who is a depth defenseman that they're interested in. We'll try this, and then after this, we will stop. Okay, so we'll try that, and it's not going to happen, so reject it. So we have tried basically everything that we can at this point. It's just not going to work for Andrei Vasilevsky. They really don't want to get rid of him. They just weren't interested in our first round pick. But we, like I said, we're not going to give up on Andrei Vasilevsky. We're going to come back to him in the offseason. So if we're going to do that, and I think we will, we just need a goalie to get us through until now. I think the one that makes the most sense is Craig Anderson, 3 years left at a pretty reasonable contract. And like I said, his trade value is the lowest of all the veteran goalies out there, and he's at 87. So let's see if we can try and make this one work. I hate to say it, I really do. Obviously, now I'm not going to give up Parsons for Anderson because he's not a future goalie. But I hate to say it, but I think we might have to give up our first round pick still. Here is Ottawa. They are interested in that first round pick. I just don't see us giving up a roster player for a Craig Anderson. Here's a look at who they're interested in. So they're not interested in much more. Again, we can't just pile up a bunch of these guys, and it's just not going to work. So I think we might have to give up a first-round pick. Again, Parsons the only player that they're interested, or goalie that they're interested in. Again, I can try Curtis Lazar, and it's going to have to be a first. I think it's going to have to be a first. Again, we're all in for this year anyway. The only bonus is that we wouldn't be giving up any more picks in this year's draft. We wouldn't be drafting, though, till the 3rd round, the 4th, twice, the 5th, and the 7th. So obviously, if I trade away this first-round pick, we won't be giving up any more draft picks in this year's draft. But you know what? For a team that wants to contend for a Stanley Cup, we need a #1 goalie. We might have to just take a shot at it. Lazar and a first for Anderson, and it already looks like that would be in our favor. So could we take it back another depth pick and just hope another 4th-round pick and just hope we can draft a stud somehow? So we could take back their 4th that they're interested in giving up for a first, Lazar and Anderson. I hate to give away this first, but it would be to get a #1 goalie for presumably the next couple of years. Hate to do it, but I think we need that goalie right now more than anything. I think this should work. They want to send us the 4th. They want Lazar and a first. And it's for Craig Anderson. Like I said, it makes a lot of sense for Ottawa as well. They're rebuilding. They're trying to get rid of their veterans. So let's see if we can make this happen. A first and Lazar for Craig Anderson and a 4th. And the trade is rejected. You meta block very well, but the value is just too far off. So really, when you look at the two values down there, it looks pretty even to me. So let's try taking back a Vegas 5th. That should bring it down slightly. Will it go through? It won't. We'll try the 6th. I want something back for that pick that we're giving up. Give us a depth pick here in this year's draft. A 6th, come on. A 6th Anderson for Lazar and a first. Still not going through, really. Huh. What if we threw in... Yeah, they're interested. What if we threw in our 7th and we took back their 4th? Because the 7th really doesn't matter too much. So a 1st and a 7th Lazar for a 4th and Anderson. And it's still rejected. Wow. Okay, so it looks like it's in their favor and they're still rejecting this trade. So I wonder if we just don't get a pick back at all. Okay, we'll try a 1st and Lazar for Anderson. It's still rejected. We need to sweeten it by just a touch. So this is close. This is brutal. Like, this is brutal. I hate trade deadline. Like, we have to sweeten the deal. Since when? Like, this is brutal. We're getting back a 37-year-old goalie, and you can't take it 1st and Lazar. Like, Jesus, this is. Could give them another depth player down here. We don't care about our AHL too much right now, so again, we're getting a starting goalie for the next 2 to 3 years. Lazar, Emile Poirier, and a first. This should make it go through. But, Emile Poirier and Lazar really just don't fit into our team. They're depth players anyway. We can easily replace them. It's just that it's really a first for Anderson. But again, like I said, a starting goalie for the next 2 to 3 years. And like I said, if we bring in Andrei Vasilevsky in the offseason, we can flip Anderson. And we can flip him for something and hopefully get... I mean, we won't get a first-round pick back, but we hopefully can get something back. But you know what? Let's do it. I know this is a really bad trade for us. We're giving up a lot for a 37-year-old goalie. He is 87 years old, 87 overall, excuse me. But we need this guy. Like, we need to make a push for this season. I really think we could win the Stanley Cup this season with the team we have, but we need a stable goalie to get us there. So, I mean, obviously, if we win a Stanley Cup, this trade will pay off. It doesn't matter what this trade looks like. It will obviously pay off. But I just don't know if we're going to win this year. But if not, hopefully next year. Like, we got to be up there. We got to be thinking we're going to win the Stanley Cup. And the only way we're going to do it is if we have a number one goalie in the next couple of years here. So that's obviously what we need. So let's just do it. Let's do it. First, Lazar and Poirier for Anderson. And it's still rejected. Are you kidding me? What? You sent us... Like, you said to swing the... Oh, my God. So they want us to swing the deal, but not with another roster player. Or they want us to give them a defenseman because they don't want another forward. But they don't want any defenseman, so we'll have to just give them another draft pick. So, oh, I hate this. All right. I don't want to give up another pick in this year's draft, though, because we just don't have... And I'm not giving you a top 3 pick. Like, I'll give you a 5th in 2020. Okay, this is stupid, but I'll give you a 5th in 2020 with a 1st and Lazar for Craig Anderson, and it's going to go through. So, a 5th. Okay, so, I mean, we did have all of our picks in 2020, so I don't mind giving up a 5th. But that's just stupid. Like, that's stupid. Lazar and a 1st for Craig Anderson and a 5th. I mean, whatever. We needed that piece. Like I said, it wasn't very good for us long term, but it makes a lot of sense short term for us. And short term is what we're focused on right now, and winning the Stanley Cup. So we have to make a roster move here. I'm not sure why, because we traded Curtis Lazar maybe. So we should... Do we have to bring up a forward? Like, or is it the goaltending that we have to make a roster move in? Yeah, we can't have 3 goalies up. Is that what it is? NHL. Okay, I can try sending Gillies down. Alright, give me a second, I'm going to figure out what this is. Alright, so we are back. So I just had to take Curtis Lazar off of the 4th line right wing spot and replace him with Dmitry Yaskins. He was on our roster at the time, so I had to just replace him. So that's what I did. As you can see here, Craig Anderson is now a member of the Calgary Flames. Like I said, it sucks that we had to give up a 1st-round pick for a 37-year-old goalie, but at 87 overall, you can see he is obviously a number 1 goalie in this league. He'll be with us for the next 2 to 3 years if we don't flip him. And you look at Mike Smith, who is 82. He's a significant improvement over Mike Smith. And you can see he carries a cap about $2 million less than Mike Smith does. Just about. Just under, excuse me. So when we do lose Mike Smith after this season, after his final year of his contract is up, Craig Anderson will actually replace Smith with $2 million less than what he was, and he is, like I said, leaps and bounds better than Smith as a goaltender. So, I mean, it is kind of a win-win in that situation. Again, it just sucks that we had to give up a 1st overall pick. But again, if you're going to be a good team, a team that's contending for a Stanley Cup now, you need to give your team a legitimate chance to win, and that's what we're giving them with Craig Anderson. You look at guys like John Tavares. We brought these guys in to help us win now. We brought them in to help us win a Stanley Cup. So why would we not help them out by bringing in a goalie that can help us get there, even if it means giving up a 1st-round pick? So again, I didn't enjoy giving up the 1st-round pick, but hey, it's going to help our team it's going to give our team, a legitimate chance in the next 1 to 3 years to win a Stanley Cup with a guy like Craig Anderson between goal. And possibly, like I said, we'll try Andrei Vasilevsky in the off-season, but we'll worry about that when we get there. We could easily flip Anderson for Vasilevsky if we had to. Maybe not exactly, but we could try and make that work. So, but for now, Craig Anderson is our starting goalie. That's going to give our team a legitimate chance. We didn't have to obviously give up Travis Hamonic, which is a huge add to our defensive core. It keeps our top 4 intact. Our defensive core has been pretty good in this last month, so Excuse me, I don't want to really split them up at all. So now looking at our team, now that we made our biggest trade ahead of trade deadline, I think we just have one more move to make, and that's to add down here to our depth forward group. I wouldn't mind taking a look at somebody like Jakob Silfverberg or a Rick Nash and give our bottom six an improvement. Like I said, our top six was just rolling this month. We can only hope that they keep it up. And if we, hopefully, if we add another piece down there, a veteran piece, and a piece that could help us win this season, a rental, hopefully that'll give us a shot. So we have significantly improved our goaltending. Hopefully we can try and make a move now here and make a move and improve our offense as well in our depth positioning. So let's try. Oh, excuse me. Let's try Jakob Silfverberg first. I think he is slightly better than Rick Nash. He is a right winger. He's 83. He is a sniper. We always could use snipers. He has 1 year left, I believe it is, at 3.7. Yeah, 1 year at 3.7. So we're bringing him in. He's obviously a complete rental. 18 goals this season. That's pretty damn good for a depth player. He's listed as a second line forward, but he'll be playing on our third line. So that will be huge if we can bring this guy in. So let's try and make Jakob Silfverberg work. In terms of roster players, they're not interested in too much on our team. You can see here just Gabriel Jones and Juuso Välimäki. Gabriel Jones isn't going to fit into our team going forward. 18 years of age, still 57, low top 9. We can easily get rid of this guy. He's not going to fit in. He doesn't have much value anyway, but that's all they're interested in terms of forwards. No goalies that match there for us. You know, I wouldn't mind maybe giving them a second round draft pick for Silfverberg. It's a complete rental, but again, Silfverberg, 28 years of age. This is a guy that can help us this playoff, excuse me, and going into the next couple of years. So I wouldn't mind giving up a second round pick in 2020, as well as Gabriel Jones for Jakob Silfverberg. We're right up against the cap. It's not going to work anyway. So, this is a bit of a challenge now. I thought it would work because it looks pretty even to me, and it's two pieces they want. It's a piece they want to get rid of, but they're not. They want more for Silfverberg. Again, I hate trade deadline for this exact reason. It's stupid because teams completely oversell. You have to oversell. That's the only way you're going to get it. I'm not giving them a second and a third. That's crazy. Now we're starting to hurt in the 2020 draft year if we give up that second. You know, I could try giving them a 2021 fourth to go with it. See if that will sweeten the deal enough for them. And it is not going to. So this is not good. That's hard because there's no other players they want. And there is no other draft picks that I'm willing to give up. There's no goalies I'm willing to give up. They don't want any other skaters, so we're kind of stuck here. All we really can do is a second and Gabriel Jones without... I mean, that's already overpaying for a rental player, excuse me, but there's not much more we can do. Like, I'm certainly not overpaying any more than a second and Gabriel Jones. It's pretty much a second for Silfverberg straight up, but that's still a lot, so, I don't know if that's going to work for us then. When did we try Rick Nash then? It's just, I just don't think, like, it doesn't make much more sense to overpay for a rental player than it does there. So Nash is a left winger, like I said. He is a little less. He is one less than Silfverberg. He's still listed as a second line forward. Again, this would be a complete rental. 18 goals as well. Has only 1 year left as well at 3.8. They're not interested in much more either, so this is kind of tough. I'm not giving you Joe Morrow. Anything in goaltending. Oh, come on, you guys. And they're interested in the same, so again, I could go a second for Rick Nash. I mean, that's pretty much all I'm going to do. And it's rejected. Value is too far off, so I really want to improve our depth, but, I mean, I don't want to give up much more than a second to do so. For a rental player, again, that's already overpaying for a veteran like Rick Nash, who's only got 1 year left. We probably won't be bringing... See, the difference with Silfverberg is we'll probably be bringing Silfverberg back after this season. I don't think we would be with Rick Nash, because he's probably going to get even worse than an 82. He's already, 35, 36 years of age. So I'm not going to go crazy and give up much more for Rick Nash. Yeah, 34 years of age, but he'll probably decline from a second line forward and from an 82. So this is not good because there wasn't much else out there in terms of forwards that made a lot of sense. In depth positions. Let's just take a quick look here. Skaters matching blocks. So let's go by Thomas Tatar. I took a look at him. He's got a 5.2 left for, I forget how many years, 3 years left. I don't want to take on that contract. Excuse me, I just want to go from here. Run down these teams quickly again. So it was really only Silverberg, I think it was. Weird that the Coyotes want to trade. I forgot to mention this. They want to trade Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and the LA Kings want to get rid of Drew Doughty. So those are a couple. And don't forget, San Jose still wants to get rid of Mark-Edward Vlasic, excuse me. So a couple huge defensemen on the block. So here is Patty Maroon. We could try taking a look at him. He's also 82 at a left winger, third line scorer, so he is listed as a third line scorer. 2 years left at 3.9. I don't know if I want to take on 2 more years at nearly 4 mil. No, I don't. What are they interested in? Could they make this work with? No, I don't want to take on Patty Maroon's contract. Oops, gotta click on here. Yeah, that just doesn't make sense to take on 4 mil at 3.2. So, what are we looking at? Not goalies here. We want to look at skaters. So nothing from Columbus. Yeah, so Tatar, Franz Nielsen. What was his 4 years left? Yeah, so Nielsen was another one. I did want to take on that. Yeah, so this sucks because there's not too much more in terms of... There's Drew Doughty. There's not too much left in terms of depth players that could fit on our third line. Like, third line left wing spot. Even the right wing. You can see here, teams just don't have much more out there. It was really Silverberg, VCs, and RFA. It was really Silverberg or Rick Nash that made the most sense, but, I mean, you have to completely overpay for these guys, excuse me. Filppula has 2 years left, but he's only an 81, so that's not going to help us much. There's Vlasic. So this kind of sucks, because now that we have Craig Anderson in the mix, I was hoping to get a depth forward to help out our forward group as well. But, you know what, maybe we just we make the one move, and is that enough? Is that enough to put us over the top? Just one move. So, yeah, so that's it. That's all there is to it. So, I mean, I can take one more crack at Silverberg, but what am I going to have to give up? I mean, you know, I'm already giving up Gabriel Jones in a second. I just hate overpaying, but sometimes you have to do it. I mean, no, we're too weak in this position here. I mean, I can give you... I hate to do it, but I can give you a 4. Oh my god, I hate to do that. A 4th, a 2nd, and Gabriel Jones. Like, come on, that's just... Let's reject it anyway, okay. That's too much depth picks to give up. Like, seriously, like, what else do you... I'm not giving you a 3rd and a 2nd. That's just crazy. I mean, they don't even want... What if it's a 4th that they want? What if it's... what if it's a 4th in this year? This would just kill our draft picks for this up-and-coming season. But, you know what? We're all in. What if it's a 4th that they actually want, plus a 2nd, plus Jones? Still rejected. Okay, so that's not even going to cut it. So I have no clue what's going to even work here. I mean, Anaheim, like, come on. Like, you're talking a rental player here. And there's no other roster players they want, so there's no way we can make this work. I mean, I can't just give them a random roster player they don't want. I mean... Nothing. There's just nothing. Like, I'll try giving you Hunter and Carrick. Is that gonna... You know? Doesn't meet their block too well. What else am I supposed to do here, Anaheim? Excuse me, what else am I supposed to do? Like, I just... Not giving you Dubé, I'm not giving you Chillington. I mean, it just... There's nothing else I can really do at this point. You know, you want Slayer Cuckoo, who I just claimed off waivers? No, so, Instead, try mixing around. I mean, I could give you Cuckoo and... somebody way down here. Like a prospect that's never going to play for us. Hold a Daniel Pribble. Pribble, Cougar. Cuckoo, Jones, and a second. I mean, Phil Silverberg. Will this go through? Still rejected. So, I just don't think it's going to work right now. That sucks, because I wanted to help our depth. It just doesn't look like that's going to be the case. You don't want to oversell anyway. That's pretty much what I was doing. So, I think we'll be done there then. I mean, there's not much more we can do right now. In terms of trade. So, let's go right up to trade deadline now. So, here is Ottawa wanting to give us Oduya for a 7th. For a 7th isn't bad, but what is Johnny Oduya? Let's take a look here. 78, yeah, that doesn't make too much sense for us. Defensive defenseman, yes. Could help our depth defense. But what's his salary at? 2 years at 1 point. Don't want to take on 2 years of that. Like for a 7th round pick, that's not bad, because he is a veteran. He could help us, you know, if we had any injuries on our blue line. He could jump in at 78 overall. Again, he is a shutdown defensive defenseman. I mean, for a 3rd pairing, that wouldn't be bad. But do I want to take on 2 years at 1.7? Jeez. No, I don't think I do. I don't think I want to take on 2 years at 1.7. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. That was a tough one. That was definitely a tough one. Well, yeah, okay. Stockton, Matthew Phillips is, yeah, okay, I'll put Phillips back in here. Take Gabriel Jones out now. We can put Phillips back into his spot. David Schlemko has come on waivers. 2.10 for 2 years left. Could fit in our AHL, but we don't need that depth with Slater Cuckoo, so no, thank you. Here's another incoming trade, Mark Barberio. For a 5th. Nope, not going to do it. We would have did Oduya for a 7th if that was the case. So let's go right up to trade deadline here. So some last-minute incoming trades there, as you can see. Just want to take a quick look here to see if anything's changed on Jakob Silverberg or Rick Nash, but don't think it has. Let's take a look at any other trades that went down here before trade deadline. And then we're going to end this episode here, and then we will start episode 20 with the month of March. So players, picks, and tradings. So Anaheim acquires a 1st-round pick and a 3rd-round pick for Jakob Silverberg. Like, are you kidding me? Jakob Silverberg and Mark Stewart for a 1st and a 3rd? Like, that's insane. Montreal just sent a 1st-round pick for a rental player in Jakob Silverberg that they're probably not... And a 3rd-round pick. Like, wow. I'm so glad we didn't do that. Like, that's insane. Is Marc Bergeron still the GM in Montreal? And if so, how? Especially after this move. Why would you give up a 1st and a 3rd for a guy that's pretty much a rental in a 3rd-line right winger? Like, wow. That is a horrible trade for Montreal. Okay, so now it makes sense why Anaheim did not give us Jakob Silverberg. They were waiting to fleece the hell out of the Montreal Canadiens. Like, that's insane. I can't believe that. Wow. You can see Tampa Bay requiring some picks there for a minor league swap there with New Jersey. Anaheim getting some more draft picks in trading away Klaus Dahlbeck and some. So Anaheim's really busy, but they just did not want. They wanted to fleece the Canadiens. So there's our trade there: Craig Anderson for Lazar, a 1st and a 5th. See, we gave up a 1st, but we're getting back Craig Anderson. He's not a 3rd-line right winger. He's a #1 goalie. So I would give up a 1st, and at least we didn't give up a 3rd with that. We gave up a 1st and a 5th. I mean, and I guess Curtis Lazar, but that's not. That's insane. Anyways. Yeah, so that's the trades that went down since then. You can see Anaheim's been very busy. But obviously we're not getting Jakob Silfverberg anymore. So now that we're at trade deadline, so I think the last thing we can do is make one more push for Rick Nash. But again, I'm not going to give up too much for Rick Nash at this point. And there's nobody else left on the trading block. So let's go to propose trade here. That's crazy. I can't believe Montreal would give up. Like, who the hell in the right mind? That's insane. That's just, wow. Okay. So we'll take one more last crack at Rick Nash here. I mean, if this does not work, then we are just going to go in with no depth help, but we did address our biggest need, and that was a #1 goalie. So we always have that. So they are interested. No, these are the same guys they were interested in goaltending. Nothing there, and draft picks, nothing. So again, I will give up a second in 2020, but that's pretty much it for Rick Nash. You offer this, yeah. Well, I just thought maybe it would be different now that we're on the trade deadline. The clock is ticking. I thought maybe they'd be desperate to make the move, but I'm not going to give up much more than a second for Rick Nash. I mean, a second, and I'll give you a 7th, but that's not going to do anything. So, Tabor fall 2 off, yeah, so. That's unfortunate. What if I gave them a 7th from this year that they were interested in? Nope, still too far off. So I just don't think it's going to work for Rick Nash. We can try and do what we did with Anaheim there, and just throw in some roster players they're not even interested in, and see if the value is enough alone to get it over. Again, we can try throwing in like a Slater Cuckoo, see if his value plus a second could get us Rick Nash. Nope, doesn't meet their block that well. What if we tried? This is just taking shots in the dark at this point. I just really wanted to help our depth. Shinkarik and a second. Is that going to work? Nope. So, I'm giving Detroit everything I can at this point without stupidly overpaying, which I'm already pretty much doing. So, I just don't think it's going to work. I wouldn't mind getting rid of John Gillies at this point, but he just doesn't have much trade value. Would you be interested in Gillies in a second? And, ooh. Roster moves. This might work. We would have to call up. Would they be interested in Gillies at a second for Rick Nash? They would? Are you kidding me? What? Fuck, why didn't I try this with Silfverberg? Oh my god. A second and John Gillies? I did not think that was going to work. Holy wow. Like, what? This is the stupidest game. How does that fucking work? But yet, like a second. Oh my god. Okay, so we need to call up Rick Nash, obviously. These moves, blah, blah, blah. Wouldn't put me over salary. What are you talking about? That's insane. I can't believe that actually worked. So we'll have to send down Derek Roy, probably. I'm guessing, yeah. Gaskins and Parquet, yeah. So we'll send down Roy. What? Alright, so give me a second. I'm just going to fix our roster here, and then we will go from there.